right, well, it has been some time, and we've got some news in the form of me being a new Mythgard partner. So this is the first video that I've been able to go ahead and put together since the next round of Mythgard partners were accepted. I was among them, really excited about being that, being able to not only contribute in some of the partnery ways with conversations about the game, but also give away some packs. And we're going to talk more about that at the end of the video. You can find out how we're going to be doing a 20 pack giveaway. But for now, we're going to talk about Blue Reanimator. Really cool format here that we're going to do. We'll be able to see all of the cards at the same exact time. We've got a pretty typical green necromantic shell. We're running Shroud of the Pit, a mythic artifact that not a lot of people have been playing, but I think could potentially have a home in here to be able to bring back some cool things in the late game. But on the blue side, a pair of allfather's horns and Berserkr Sickness are really where the combo-y sort of part is coming in, along with the freki sidecar ×3 to be able to give our big old minions, or potentially our necromantics rush. And volcanic risi, living mountains, Indric beast, chort, stag, and iku-turso. These are sort of our big baddies to be able to get into the boneyard to bring back with necromantic. We have necromantic number 5 sort of as junkyard valhalla to be able to bring back the bottom minion of our boneyard every time we don't have one that's already been brought back and it becomes a dredge. And then we've got just some typical blue all-stars with Magnus, Thorsson, thunderclap. A couple of thanes were sort of split out on the number of 2-drops that we're playing, mostly for testing purposes, but I've liked this number so far. 2 thanes, 2 gallows boys, and the Born Agains. Grinning kolobok, very difficult card to play in this deck, as you sort of have to determine if it is going to be more useful as being burned as green and not go to the bottom of your boneyard by accident for your necromantics, or if it's going to be safe enough to be able to get out there and you'll get an activation of smite out there. So without further ado, let's take a look to see how some of these games went from earlier this week. Alright, first game here with the blue necromantic deck is against Aether SSB, I believe stands for Super Smash Brothers, but a fellow partner and great player as well, playing a really cool mono purple deck here. So right off the bat, you'll notice that I decided to burn the kolobok as opposed to playing it out at this point. Since I've already got a necromantic in my hand, I didn't want to risk the fact that a kolobok being played on turn 1 could get possibly either get ignited, or a card that I did not know that Aether was playing but also could have played around was the Racer in Shadow. So I decided to not play the kolobok, decided to just burn it because I've already got a big minion to be able to dump, and I've already got the necromantic. I've got enough mana that either way I should be good to go by using my power next turn. Also, being on the play, I had to use my first hero power by using 2 magicka instead of 0 if we were on the draw. So just a couple of notes there, very right off the bat. But we'll notice here that the plan we've got in our hand is to dump this short stag, get the necromantic down on turn 3, and our hand does allow us to do so. Picking up a Berserkr Sickness is pretty nice to be able to potentially have a real burst of damage once this short stag gets in play, but we are going to go ahead and dump the stag into the boneyard and set up for the necromantic next turn. So at this point I've seen that Aether has shown me that he is pretty heavy on purple, so I'm going to have to at some point be pretty worried that Spirit Away could be something, could be threatening my short stag, but currently, since we were on the play, we're going to be a turn ahead of that, potentially. So we have the second necromantic here now, and at this point, just filling up the board with necromantics is kind of the play. We picked up the sidecar, which is very nice, which means that anything that does die to when these necromantics die and come back, we'll be able to give the next thing rush. However, a metamorphosis on the necromantic that we put in front of the shinobi of smoke, unfortunately going to have that not be the case. So we decided to use the hero power again because we kind of want to continue putting on the pressure using our mana efficiently. We also got a chance to draw a card this turn in doing so, and we picked up Junkyard Valhalla, which theoretically could be pretty good. Feng Shui Master is a card to consider out of a very purple heavy deck, but we do have another way of potentially getting some more minions out of the discard should this Necromantic also get something like Spirit Away or something like another Metamorphosis. But decide to use the Berserkr Sickness this turn, get a little bit of damage in, and just get our short stag on the field. However, doing so, I kind of opened up Aether for a really nice play here at the Spirit Away. So, kind of thinking that back, probably just playing something like Junkyard Valhalla might have been better. If playing something like the Feng Shui Master is a lot better for me and doesn't blow me out nearly as much because in doing so with this Berserkr Sickness to try to get that short stag out, what ended up happening is that I got blown out by a card that I had already been considering and should have been thinking about that entire time there. So I think just getting down the Junkyard Valhalla while is a little bit slower. I think probably would have been better there than trying to do something like the Berserkr Sickness to get rid of the Necromantic. So from here, we don't have anything big in the boneyard currently, so this necromantic kind of doesn't do anything. So in doing so, I actually went ahead and I discarded the junkyard Valhalla. So uh, the ship, I pretty much just played around Feng Shui Master, possibly a little bit too much here. I think getting this down earlier would have been good. And now, like this necromantic still is not particularly very good in my hand because there's no minions in my boneyard at all. So the card is really only doing anything right now is traitorous murmur in my hand. So I think that this junkyard Valhalla necromantic probably should have just even just discarded this instead of the junkyard. This Sword Saint means that it's going to be pretty easy for Aether to gain some life back up. Not looking like we're going to be able to have an OTK option anytime soon. We did pick up the Indrik Beast from the hero power there, so we're going to kind of continue to do some damage here. Hopefully have found something that is big enough and is going to be hard enough to deal with. And we still have enough mana here to be able to thunderclap and clear the board and sort of reset things back here to a little more neutral. This Cloud Pillar Peak is really good, by the way. I think this card is pretty insane actually because occupying minion being suppressed at the start of your turn, like there are just so many random guys in these purple style decks that you just don't care if they're suppressed anyway. So we go ahead and decide to ditch the sidecar and Traitorous Murmur here. I think this was a little bit of a last-ditch effort for me. I think I may have been a little frustrated in how I had played this game previously. Just took the Nine-Tailed Vixen because I didn't want it to allow it to create too much value. But the value was already being kind of created over here with this Sword Saint. Ooh, and the Jinsuk coming down. Going to be very difficult for this deck to be able to deal with that. Oh, and because it is daytime on our side, the Slayer ability is going to be pretty good for Racer and Shadow. So I decided I got the Indrik Beast down. I gotta hope that we can get to a point soon that we can start racing him. However, Aether decided that he's got enough items to put onto this Jinsuk to start getting some healing back. So it's going to be 5 gained back and shrinking down the Indrik Beast here to a point where even if we gave it Frenzy would not be enough. So we're going to try to dig a little deeper here with the Raid the Tombs. So volcanic risi. Unfortunately at this point, even with the blackened jotun, Aether just has a combination of Metamorphosis and the Rogue Eidolon in his hand that is just not going to be enough. Tried to amount the, or tried to get a best as we could really with the sort of the backup plans here once the necromantics kind of didn't really do too much for us, and Aether was really able to kind of turn things around. So a combination of me not playing very well and Aether having some very good removal spells, doing very well. This Cloud Pillar Peak I think ends up drawing him about 4 or 5 cards this game, which is pretty insane. So at this point kind of just throw down the volcanic risi and pray, but Little trick there that I didn't think was going to be coming. Totally forgot about Jinsuk's ability there. So that's the first game. Didn't particularly play very well, but we were still in it for quite a while. We still had some live draws, but Aether able to take that one against us. All right, game number 2 of the blue Reanimator deck. We are against none other than LeVar Ball. Going to be on the draw this time, so we will have the pursuit ability from the disc. Our smite, our first one's going to be for free. For free. So this hand right away, we notice we don't actually have a lot to do other than just necromantic into an Indrik Beast. So LeVar also doing some Reanimator type things here. Ditches an Indrik Beast of his own. So we're going to go ahead and also follow suit. Our bottom creature in our boneyard are also going to be an Indrik Beast. And nothing really to do here. We didn't want to put a Gallows Boy into play to potentially have something to trade into this kolobok. We actually want to have as many possible things to be on the field to deal damage to our necromantic. We're also going to keep it as the second choice of a card to burn here, as we need 2 gems for necromantic. This also allows us to keep both necromantics in hand and not have to do that. But ooh, the seal of necromantic coming down with the one in our hand, so we actually get a little bit punished, or by a little bit punished, quite a bit, for trying to keep a necromantic in hand against an orange deck. They had the on curve seal, so we're just gonna kind of power our way through here with the smite. Gonna hang on to an allfather's horn here for something potentially in the future, working with a lot of our blue cards currently and not working with any more necromantics. So the only way we're going to have to be able to get any minions out of the boneyard at this point is going to be from junkyard valhalla. So uh, pick things back up here. So LeVar Ball doing a pretty good job at this point of got a pretty good onslaught of attackers here. Some things that have already gained some value in form of Parry at the Gates and kolobok that whenever this thing goes is going to be a lot of mana for LeVar. So noticing here he's already got something like proxy, not the biggest threat in the world, but he's already got quite a bit of things to do. So as soon as this kolobok dies, he's going to be unlocked to do quite a few things here. So for my side, decided to burn the clap because I've already got both claps and a Magnus in play, and I actually don't think that his field is really threatening enough for me to want to commit too much at this point. So I decided that I'm actually going to go ahead and put the blackened jotun all the way over in this leftmost lane. And at this point, set up for something where I could use Magnus Thorsson to get rid of what was already on the field in the Parry at the Gates and the kolobok, and then also be able to deal with this recruiter at the same time. We pick up an iku-turso, which is pretty nice. Might be able to potentially use that to win at some point, but decide to actually go ahead, and this is probably smarter. We had we had 6 mana total this turn, and being able to both use the power here to get 2 damage from smite since we're behind LeVar at the moment, and also using a thunderclap is going to put a Xerxes recruiter down to 1 damage. So actually, the attack from this blackened jotun is going to be able to go through and do the full 6 damage due to both having Slayer and the recruiter only having 1. So wanted to do the most amount of potential damage there as we could with a thunderclap to get our opponent into range for seeing if we can potentially kill them. But just like that, the trade comes back of the necromantic, which gets the Indrik Beast into play. So currently looking at things, going at this point, we cannot play iku-turso. So the card that we drew was also one that we have previously burned, and that's Allfather's Horn. So now I'm stuck in this situation where my opponent has 9 plus 5 is 14, and 2 more is 16. So these 2 creatures by themselves, these 2 minions, are representing 14 damage, and this one is representing the final lethal damage. So I can't put the iku-turso down to try to block this one and use these allfather's horns the remaining turn to be able to just get a bunch of free attacks essentially. So I'm actually kind of stuck using my hero power here to try to find something to play this turn to get in front of this born again to be able to potentially push for lethal. So I have to use my hero power, and I get pretty lucky here that I find a blackened jotun. And kind of unlucky that I actually have to burn the iku-turso at this point to be able to get this jotun into play. So I don't know what the remaining cards are for LeVar at this point, but I do know that this is 14 damage, which is not lethal, so I'm going to try to get in front of this guy, and since Blackened Jotun has Overrun, I might actually be able to set something up here where I can block what would be lethal damage, and then also have a chance to be able to kill him the following turn, because the way that this is sort of set up, I'm only going to get one more turn for how much damage that LeVar is setting up. So I have to burn the iku-turso and go ahead and set the Blackened Jotun up in front of the born again. So we're sort of crossing our fingers at this point. LeVar goes in, sets us down to 1. Doesn't have in his hand a way to be able to deal with the blackened Jotun. So the next scariest possible thing happens, and it is Lavish Proxy. So now I'm at this point where my opponent is staring down lethal, or we're staring down lethal from our opponent, and we can't kill him because he has a Lavish Proxy in play. But the good news is that this born again isn't going to kill us. So necromantic goes in play, and actually it turns out we drew Traitorous Murmur. So attack once with the Jotun, Allfather's Horn number 1. Attack again, attack you down to 2. Horn number 2, steal your Lavish Proxy, and attack you for game. So that was quite the set of circumstances to be able to get us through that one, but hey, we played to our outs there and set things up where if we drew one of the cards that we needed to, and one of them just happened to be Traitorous Murmur to steal the Lavish Proxy there, double Allfather's Horn into Traitorous Murmur on your Lavish Proxy for game. So yeah, that's game number 2. Alright, one more bonus game, just because I know that Toonstar hates this deck so much. Toon and I got to play a game earlier. I'm not going to slow things down and talk about this one too much. This was quite the hand for me. It's not really a necromantic hand, but this was one where we had the grinning kolobok, and we pretty much had to play it on turn 1 and just sort of hope that Toon didn't have the way to kill it with like an ignition, but it turns out that he was actually also playing Reanimator, so I felt pretty safe about my kolobok going out on turn 1. Alright, so kolobok coming down. Gonna go ahead and get rid of the clap. Not too useful in this Reanimator looking sort of mirror. Gonna drop the Indrik Beast to the bottom. So even if we do draw a Necromancer at this point, the problem is we don't even have the second green to be able to do so. Alright, Toonstar finds the Troik. Alright, so we do pick up the Necromantic. Gonna go ahead and keep moving around. See if we can get this kolobok all the way up to 4 energy before it dies. Hotel Barkeep gonna give Toon a nice little free action at some point. Ooh, iku-turso. Unfortunately, Iku, you're gonna be charged as a green this turn, it looks like. We get our necromantic down, keep it in front of the Barkeep. Next turn, we can set things up so that it has Slayer, but it looks like Toon is actually gonna do it for us. Both of these minions going to be able to trade. Oh no, the powerful Ramen actually going to set things back to Knight side for Toonstar. So Knight for both sides. The Slayer's not up there. Ooh, Troik comes down. Going to exile or get rid of those banished cards from the bin. Going to use my power here to do a little funny thing where I'm going to discard the risi, get him back, and then, hey, it's a sidecar. Come on in. And Toon takes a look at his hand, and nothing really to do there. So GG Toonstar. Fun little necromantic mirror there at the end. So alright, so that's going to be it for me. Here's the deck once again for everyone who wants to take a look at it, and the deck code, as always, and link to Mythgard Hub will be in the description. And if you do want to get involved in the 20-pack giveaway, I'll have a video coming out soon, and all you'll have to do for that upcoming video is just subscribe here to see when it's coming out, and when the video does, you'll just have to comment on the video and let me know what kinds of decks or a specific deck specifically, link to it, whatever it is that you would like to see me potentially play. So be on the lookout for that one. Thanks for tuning in and watching this one, and we'll see you next time.